Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Sunday Morning 7 a.m. Club. Today's theme is one of my favorites because it's the one that most people skip, or they misunderstand, or they try to basically bypass it, right? This week, we're talking about becoming unshakable, right? Having emotional stamina to carry you into 2026. How we start our Sunday sets the tone for our entire week. So welcome to the Sunday Morning Club, the show dedicated to intentional living and personal growth. I'm Faye Chappell, and on behalf of all of us here at Elevated Living, I invite you to take this time for yourself to find your center and fill up your cup. I'm so glad you're here. So let me tell you something very, very important. Motivation, as we know, if you've been listening to me, is really unreliable, right? Discipline fluctuates. Willpower will fade. Excitement will burn out. And we all know that. But emotional stamina, the ability to stay present, to stay steady, to stay internally rooted, that is what gets you through anything, right? Not because life is easy, because for most of us, it's not, right? It's because you stop abandoning yourself when life gets hard, right? Last week, we spoke really intently on understanding to keep you true to yourself. And we've been working this process through the last couple of weeks. So I really want you to, in the next couple of minutes, I want you to really focus on exploring where you lose your footing emotionally, right? And I want to really look at all those things to make sure we understand where we're going in the year ahead. So settle in, take a steady breath, and let's begin building that version of you who doesn't shake in every storm that comes your way. Because here is the truth, okay? We rarely say this out loud. Most people don't crumble because life gets too hard, right? They crumble because their emotional bandwidth gets overloaded, right? Your capacity gets stretched way too thin. Your nervous system might reach its limits, right? Your patience, well, it can hit zero. And how many of you have felt that way, right? Your brain might go into that threat mode, right? Sometimes your heart withdraws because you've been hurt, or your body shuts down. And that's not weakness. It's physiology, right? So emotional stamina isn't about forcing yourself through the pain. It's about staying present long enough to choose intentionally instead of reacting from survival mode. So it sounds like this. I can tolerate this. I can breathe through this. Maybe I don't have to fix this immediately. It's okay. I won't abandon myself here, right? And today, that's what we're going to practice. We're going to make sure, because resilience is not about bouncing back. Think about that. Resilience is not about bouncing back. It's about expanding your capacity to stay present. Let that land. Really think about that, because that's really important for you to understand the difference of. So I want you to open your journals and take a deep breath, because today we're mapping out our emotional capacity, right? Where it breaks, where it holds, where it can grow, right? So today I really want you to think about that as we move through all the prompts and questions in your journal. So let's start with the number one basic one. Where do I emotionally crumble the fastest, and why? Think about it. I know you know the answer to this. So where do you emotionally crumble the fastest? Is it when somebody says something that's not flattering, not kind, or when somebody gives you correction to something, or you're not invited to an event, or you're left out, or you're asked to do too many things? Where do you emotionally crumble the fastest, and why? And moving one step further into prompt number 2, what physical sensations tell me my capacity is shrinking, right? So do you all of a sudden get a tight chest, or you get your breathing starts getting fastness, or you get numb, right? Or you feel shut down, or you get exhausted, or you get really irritable. You get like really bitchy, for lack of a better word, because your capacity to be able to maneuver through is shrinking. And so it's manifesting in a physical way. So what is that physical way? When do you know you're done? I know I am done. I get quiet and I shut down. I just shut down when I am done. And I know that physical sensation that tells me, so I can recognize it as I go. Problem number 3, who or what drains my capacity the fastest? There's no judgment here, just truth. So I want you to really think about that. You might know exactly that person who drains you the most, right? Or you might have something that drains you the most. Maybe it's doing emails, or maybe it's speaking in a crowd. Maybe it's, trying to get through to a group, presenting to a group. I don't know what it is. It could be your husband. It could be your children. It could be an emotionally draining friend, right? Who or what drains your capacity the fastest? I want you to be true. Okay? To be true. On the flip side of that, who or what expands your capacity? Who regulates you, or who or what regulates you? So you might have a friend or a colleague that whenever you're in the presence, you get excited about what you're doing next. It's the polar opposite, right? Maybe it is your friend or your husband or your wife or your children, or maybe it is when you're alone working and you're in the zone, or maybe it's when you're out for a walk that really makes you feel that you can expand your capacity, right? It regulates you to feel normal. I want you to let that insight of all these questions, I want it to be honest and I want it to be compassionate. Okay? Think about that. Stop the record, answer the questions before we move forward, because again, we're building every time we do anything. So we're building to be strong here. We're building for ourselves. We want to feel that inner mountain, right? So I want you to close your eyes, let your hands rest on your lap, and I want you to take a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Can you do that? Keeping your eyes closed, I want you to imagine yourself in a quiet landscape. It can be vast and open and peaceful. And in front of you is a big mountain. The mountain's tall, right? It's ancient, it's steady, it's unmoving. Doesn't matter what the weather, the wind, the chaos around it. It is there in all its glory. It will not budge. And I want you to walk towards this mountain. Okay? I want you to imagine placing your hand against the side of the mountain. I want you to feel how solid it is, how grounded it is. I want you to feel the presence of this mountain. And I want you to think about this mountain being you. You are the one who remains steady. You are the one who can endure anything that comes your way. You are the one who holds your ground when everything around you shifts, no matter what. You remain steady. Okay. Now I want you to gently imagine stepping forward and really merging into the mountain. So that mountain, you become it. And I want you to feel your spine lengthen. I want you to feel your breath deepen and your heart feel steady. I want you to feel your feet root deeply in the earth. I want you to say silently to yourself, I remain. I am steady. I do not abandon myself in discomfort. And I want you to breathe in that strength. I want you to hold that breath, right? And when you're ready, exhale. Do one more time. Breathe it in. I remain. I am steady. I do not abandon myself in discomfort. And when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes and ask yourself, how does that feel? How does it feel to know that you can be the mountain, that no matter what comes your way, you're going to make yourself get through it. You can do it. You are there in all your glory, in your presence, and you do not worry about what comes your way. That is where we are going. That's what I want you to do. You know, we've done box breathing many, many times, right? And it's one of the most powerful forms of nervous system training, right? Because it teaches your body that you can handle intensity without panicking. You can stay present and that you don't collapse under pressure, right? Navy SEALs use this breathing for emotional regulation. And it's really simple. It's box breathing. We've done it many times. For those of you who are new, it's inhaling for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and then holding again for 4. It's a box, right? So as we inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, holding 1, 2, 3, 4, exhaling 1, 2, 3, 4, holding 1, 2, 3, 4. I want you to do that 10 times at your own pace. Keep going. Inhaling 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and holding for 4. Try to do 10 rounds. And I want you to feel how your breath creates stability. There's nothing to think about. It's 4, 4, 4, and 4. And you can feel how staying with that breath increases your emotional stamina because it's very consistent. And that's what we're going for, right? That embodied resolution, resilience, it really can, you can ensure that it moves even further by really embodying that strength throughout any movement, right? So remember mountain pose. We've been talking about mountains. We're talking about steadiness. Mountain pose is about steadying. So whether your feet are grounded or you're sitting grounded, keep your spine tall. Think about that mountain. Keep your palms open and stand like your presence matters. Okay? Think about mountain pose. As you're sitting, just sit and believe your presence matters. You are that mountain. That makes a massive difference. Okay? And then any other movement is there to make you feel that mountain, to make you feel that you are unmovable. In yoga, I would tell you, for example, to do a warrior 2, which is very straightforward. Your arms are out. Your right foot is forward, right? You're strong, you're focused. And then you can do it on the other side. Whatever it is, you're grounding, right? You can do a forward fold, for example, where you release the weight you've been carrying forward. And then you breathe and go up. So you're releasing that gravity, but as you come back up, you feel strong, just like that mountain. Twists again. Why do we always do twists? Because they relieve emotional stuckness, right? So as we twist, we're trying to make new paths. We're focused on ensuring that we get rid of all that debris that's holding our body, right? Because sometimes as we sit, and we're small and we're, tight, when we do that, we don't appreciate the feeling of being open and standing as a mountain. So anytime you're doing movement, even if you're walking, make sure your posture's there. Make sure you're relieving any discomfort, whether it's forward folds or whether it's twists. I want you to focus. Why don't we do full classes here on Sunday morning? Because I want you, the movement portion of every Sunday morning is not huge, right? We only spend a minute or 2 on it. It's because I want you to think about movement, gentle movement at all times of the day, right? It should be a natural piece to who you are. So when you feel tight, when you feel depressed, when you feel exhausted, I want you to feel yourself, and you'll always remember, we do the same thing. So you remember the twist, right? You remember getting rid of the debris. You remember the mountain poses and feeling strong, right? This is what I want. You can do heart holds, for example, where you just simply put your hand on your chest and your hand on your belly, right? And I want you to feel your breath and feel yourself anchor, right? You can feel your body rather than not even paying attention to your movement or your breath or what you're doing. Everything is about building your stamina, feeling strong, feeling focused, right? And it moves into nourishment as well, right? And think about a stamina meal. So the stamina meal would support long-term energy, would support your emotional steadiness. The formula is simple when you're looking for a stamina meal. It's basically protein, complex carbs, and greens. Why? Because stable energy means stable emotions, right? So what kind of meals are we looking at? Doesn't matter if you're a vegetarian, you're a meat eater, you can have salmon, rice, and spinach, right? So think about, again, protein, a complex carb, and some greens. You can think about lentils and quinoa and greens, or chicken and roasted vegetables, or eggs and sweet potato, right? Your nervous system can't stay regulated if your blood sugar is on a roller coaster. We've been working on this every single week for the past 4 weeks, I think. So I want you to really think about nourishing yourself like someone who deserves that steadiness, right? Who deserves healthy input on a regular interval. Can we do that? Okay. So this week's challenge is powerful, and it's a little, maybe it's a little uncomfortable. So what I want you to do is I want you to do one emotionally uncomfortable thing without abandoning yourself. Not a big thing, not a hugely dramatic thing, just something that stretches your tolerance. So sitting without a difficult feeling for 60 seconds, like literally just sitting without any expectations. It's amazing how many people don't know how to sit even for 1 minute, right? You coming to Sunday morning and doing the class fully is one way that you can bring this in, right? How about having a boundary conversation, right? A little uncomfortable, but if somebody has been pushing you a little in one way, have that conversation. Or maybe asking for actual support, right? Holiday, again, maybe you can't do it all on your own. Maybe you can ask a friend, a sibling, a relative to say, could you help me by doing this part of the event, right? Saying no, there's a concept. Try to say no to something that you really don't have time to do. Or how about not fixing something immediately, right? It's okay if you can't fix it in that moment. You can say, I'm going to go back to this in a day, in a week, and fix it. But right now, I don't have the time. Or here's my favorite. This is a really tricky one and uncomfortable for a lot of people. Just letting silence exist. Have you ever been in a car with somebody, or lunch or coffee, and the conversation stops and you start getting uncomfortable, right? There's nothing wrong with silence. Silence is great. I have one person that I know that I can sit with and I don't have to say a word. I don't have to say a word. It's absolutely fine to sit in silence. So try to get comfortable with it, right? Or try to maybe tolerate a little bit of disappointment. We all have disappointments. So rather than wallow in it, just tolerate it and go, it's okay. I'm disappointed that didn't happen, but I'll move on and do something else. Or staying instead of shutting down. Remember last week, if you're with us, I said, part of what I can tell is when I'm done is I shut down. So I'm instead of shutting down, stay with it. Stay and see if you can get through it. Because each time you stay with yourself in discomfort, your capacity grows, right? So if you stay in silence, a lot of people say to me, I can't meditate. I can't meditate, Faye. I can't meditate. Don't teach me. I can't meditate. Yeah. Well, this is the thing. You have to get through that discomfort so that your capacity grows. The first time I ever learned meditation, I was on a long quest for a couple of years, and I did a meditation where we had to stand, eyes closed, hands in namaste, hands in prayer, and we had to repeat a mantra, and it was 2 hours, and we're not allowed to open our eyes. And it was really uncomfortable, but I stayed and stayed, and I didn't think I was going to make it, but I stayed and stayed and stayed. And then we finally said, open your eyes. I couldn't believe it had been 2 hours. Like, I couldn't believe that I did it. And that capacity made me grow. That's how you become unshakable. That's when I said, wow, I cannot believe I did this, right? It's like the first time I ever did a 5K walk. I didn't think I could do it. And when I did it, I was like, wow, it's not that hard. I actually could do it. And so your capacity grows and you feel really, really excited. So that is your challenge for this week. Thank you for being here again. Your strength is already growing because you have committed to join me every week. So stay with me and I will see you next Sunday.
And with that, our time together comes to a close. Thank you for showing up for yourself today. Take that feeling of this space with you and let it guide your actions and reactions this week. I'm Faye Chappell. On behalf of everyone here at Elevated Living, I'm wishing you a week of profound peace and clarity. This episode was produced